I stood there, clutching a flimsy paper cup of coffee, like it was the only thing keeping me from collapsing, my eyes fixed on the growing crowd gathered near the edge of the water park ride. The air was thick with the sounds of summer. Screams, laughter, the rush of water thundering through pipes and slides. Yet all of it blurred into meaningless noise, as if the world had muted itself around me. My heart was pounding so hard it felt like it might tear through my chest. And then I saw her, my wife Sarah, standing there half-dressed, the sun glinting off her bare skin, surrounded by strangers. For a moment, I prayed it was a trick of the light, a heat-wave illusion, anything but what it was. But no, there she was, giggling as she peeled off her tank top, revealing a swimsuit I hadn't seen her wear in months. She tossed her shorts aside with a careless flick, laughing like a woman unburdened by vows, by promises, by me, and standing beside her was him, tall, broad-shouldered, confidence dripping off him like the water spraying from the nearby slides. That stupid neon VIP wristband flashed on his wrist, marking him as one of the privileged few who could skip the long lines, the very lines Sarah and I had been waiting in for nearly 2 hours. I had stepped away for 5 minutes. Just 5. I'd gone to get us both cold drinks because the sun was merciless, and the air felt like a furnace. And in that tiny window of time, she crossed the invisible line between us, the one I thought she'd never even glance at, let alone step over. Betrayal doesn't crash into you like a thunderclap. It seeps in, slow, quiet, merciless, until it fills every hollow in your chest. I whispered her name, Sarah, and my voice cracked under the weight of disbelief. She didn't even turn. She was too busy laughing at something he said, her hand resting lightly on his arm, her eyes shining in a way they hadn't for me in what felt like forever. My stomach twisted, and every buried suspicion clawed its way to the surface. The late-night messages she had behind vague excuses, the sudden obsession with the gym, the constant mentions of work friends and networking events. I had wanted so badly to believe her, to trust that my mind was playing tricks on me. But standing there, watching her peel away her clothes and her respect in front of a cheering crowd, I finally saw the truth. I wasn't her partner anymore. I was her placeholder. The attendant waved the VIPs through, and the crowd cheered. Sarah, glowing and careless, walked ahead of me now, her fingers brushing against his as if they'd done it 1,000 times. I crushed the paper cup in my hand, hot coffee spilling over my skin. The sting didn't even register. I should have turned away right then, should have left her to whatever game she was playing, but I couldn't. Not yet. I needed to see it through. I needed the pain to etch itself deep enough, so I'd never forget what she'd done. When the raft shot out of the tunnel minutes later, the two of them were pressed together, her laughter slicing through the roar of water. She stumbled out of the pool, clinging to him like a girl in love, his hand resting possessively on her waist. And then fate twisted the knife. She saw me. For a split second, her smile faltered, guilt flickering across her face. But she covered up almost instantly, forcing a grin. "Oh, Daniel, you're back," she called out, feigning surprise. "This is Mark. He, works with me. He offered to let me join them, so I wouldn't miss the ride." Her lie rolled off her tongue, so casually it made my jaw tighten. Mark extended his hand with that same smirk plastered on his face. "Hey, man, she said you were cool with it." Cool with it? Cool with my wife undressing in front of strangers and hanging on to another man? I didn't take his hand. I just stared at her, silent and hollow. That night, the real unraveling began. She tried to explain away, minimizing it, twisting it into something harmless. It was just a spur-of-the-moment thing, she insisted. Everyone was doing it. The line was insane. I didn't want to waste the whole day waiting. And stripping down in front of him was part of that plan. I asked quietly, my voice trembling, but steady enough to cut through the air. "It's a water park, Daniel. Everyone's in swimwear," she snapped, her tone suddenly defensive. But it wasn't about the clothes. It was about the way she looked at him, the way she forgot I existed the second he appeared. It was about the choice. Over the next few days, the truth revealed itself piece by piece, like shards of broken glass I couldn't stop stepping on. The late-night calls she claimed were for clients. The sudden private jokes with Mark. The way her phone was always face down, always locked. I started digging. Not because I want to catch her, but because I needed to prove to myself I wasn't losing my mind. And when I found what I was looking for, I wished I hadn't. The messages weren't explicit. Not yet, but they were worse. Photos, inside jokes, flirty texts that carried the kind of warmth she no longer had for me. Selfies captioned, "Wish you were here instead." Memes about boring husbands. My hands shook as I scrolled through them, rage and heartbreak tangling in my chest until I could hardly breathe. When I confronted her again, she didn't cry. She didn't apologize. She just stared at me like I was being dramatic. "You're overreacting, Daniel." Nothing happened. We were just having fun. Having fun, I repeated quietly. You stripped in front of strangers to ride with him. You've been messaging him behind my back for months. And you call that fun? Her silence was louder than any confession. The next morning, I packed a bag. She followed me from room to room, her voice growing desperate, trying to spin her way out of it. "Come on, don't be dramatic. We can fix this. It was just a mistake." But it wasn't a mistake. It was a pattern, a series of small, deliberate choices that led to that moment at the water park, where she showed me exactly who she'd become. "I beg you to just talk to me," I said as I zipped the bag shut. "Instead, you show me exactly where I stand." She blocked the doorway. "Where are you even going to go?" "Somewhere I'm seen," I said. "Somewhere I'm not just a man holding the drinks while you chase your thrills." Weeks passed, and the silence between us grew heavier than any argument we'd ever had. She texted, long messages, short messages, half-hearted apologies that read like excuses. I never replied, because once betrayal reveals itself, you can't unsee it. Once you realize how easily someone can make you invisible, you start to wonder how long you've been fading from their view. The divorce was simple, uncontested. She didn't fight for much. Maybe because deep down, she knew there was nothing left to fight for. I kept the house, not for the memories, but to reclaim it, room by room, stripping away every trace of the woman who used to live there. Sometimes, late at night, I still see that moment, her laughing with him, the crowd cheering, sunlight dancing on the water while my heart broke quietly in my chest. And I wonder if that was the first time she betrayed me, or just the first time I was finally paying attention. A few months later, I ran into Mark at a grocery store. He looked older, drained, the cocky grin gone. His wrist bore no bright wristband now, just a cheap watch and a weary expression. "She already moved on, huh?" he said with a bitter laugh before I could say a word. "Guess I wasn't the thrill she thought I'd be." I didn't respond.